have players that think they're a Division I player. And as a coach, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, maybe a lower tier D1 player, I don't quite see that kid as a tier 1, an upper tier 1 or even an upper tier 2 or tier 3 in Division 3 or whatever. What do you suggest to kids when they're trying to get their list of colleges? If a kid thinks he's Division I, you say, yeah, go for Division I, but let's also look at some D2 and D3 schools as well. Should that list be 20, 50 when they're a sophomore and dwindle it down every year? Like, what is your advice on that?
Look for a mix. I think developing a mix and speaking about it academically, what that young man is looking for academically, what type of education. A lot of guys don't really know the major, but kind of help target them. And I think a varied list, especially as a sophomore, is a good idea.
So don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Tough love.
Unless you know that University of Maryland is coming out for you, or Loyola, North Carolina, or whatever. And you probably already know that is in 8th or 9th grade, or 10th grade. All right, which brings us to this. At what grade level do you guys start looking at potential players? So typically, when is your class, your recruiting class is complete? And I'd say if we can go all 3 levels, because that might be different. So we'll start with Mike and then work our way down again, if that's cool. Sorry, Coach Loss.
I got to Wingate last year in January when I officially started full time. So we were done our recruiting class in May. We should be done our recruiting class of the 14s in November of this year, and that's kind of the cycle that we'll be on. We'll finish almost a year ahead. Division II's different than Division III because we do national letters in 10. We can get finalized in November. That's our goal. Before that, we can't do it soon.
So in November being the end of the fall season.
Yeah, of the beginning of their senior year.
Gotcha. Okay. Coach Moran?
For us, a little bit different, I guess. I guess the best way I can answer it is we're constantly trying to document what we see, whether it be a freshman or even a senior. How we go about our recruiting classes, sometimes the speed at which that is done is sometimes dictated by some of our competitors. I feel like if it was up to us, just speaking from our standpoint, we'd like to slow down as much as we could to see the kids more. But at the end of the day, we still need to be able to be competitive, and we need to make some decisions off of what we've already seen. With that being said, we will take kids in somewhat, we'll take verbal commitments, and that's all they are, verbal commitments from classes. And just speaking frankly about us, like for our current juniors, sophomores, and even now kids that we're even starting to look at might be freshmen, when we go through the classes, we don't have a crystal ball that comes with the kid we're going to be able to see exactly what he's going to be. We're constantly being weathermen, and we're trying to forecast what we think this kid's going to be based on everything around him, based on all the surroundings, and based on the feedback we get from coaches. So since we know we're not going to be perfect, we try and hold some spots too. Like I know in our junior class right now, which I guess is the 2015 kids, I think we still have a spot or two maybe, potentially. We don't need to fill it, but if someone popped up, a late bloomer, someone we didn't see, or someone who started playing lacrosse late, we know that, hey, we have some flexibility maybe to add him into that class. But we might have missed him early or he developed late, so we have some room. And then as we go along with the sophomores, and even now, as crazy as it sounds, freshmen, we're basically kind of recruiting at a level that's, I guess, comparative to what our competitors are doing. And that's the best way I can explain it. But with that being said, if our staff had it our way, we'd probably like to wait till kids probably finish their sophomore year. I think you get a good idea of physically what they're going to develop into in terms of size and strength and speed, and you get an idea of what their skill development is and what their athletic IQ is as well. So, I guess in a roundabout way, I tried to answer that as best I could, but I gave about 10 different answers to one question.
We tend to finish probably, we still have 4 spots in our 2015 class, so we'll probably finish after November. Most of those spots tend to be on the defensive side of the ball. They tend to be the last spots, at least for us being chosen. But again, the speed, trying to keep up with the Joes, as everybody talks about, We've sped up our recruiting since I've been there. You know, we went down and got a 2016 this summer, which they've never gotten a kid that early before, but it's due to the fact that other schools are pushing kids to make decisions, and you have to make a decision on a kid that turns it into an early verbal commit.
As a Division III coach, we have benefited from the acceleration of their process. 5 years ago, a Division III coach did not talk, we didn't have the juniors on campus. We weren't having sophomores email us. And now, if I'm a junior in high school and my buddies have committed, the verbal commitment, I want to find that home and I want to know. And now we're doing junior days at St. Mary's. I usually do one in the fall, one in the spring. For me, typically, I'll go out in November and look only at juniors in high school and develop that database that Coach Metzbauer talked about. Then I'll make sure I follow up with a mailing and information. Then I'll see you play again that summer. If you haven't at that time committed to one of the spots that are still open, bring you to campus and have you look at it. Right now, we had 23 seniors come to campus over July and August. Those were rising seniors this year. And we'll do 15 overnights, and I'll get my class of 12 kids out of those overnights. That's my typical thing. So for 2014s, we're right in the thick of it now. Even those kids, all 12 will go early decision, either one or two, and I'll be done November 1, middle of October. And again, we've piggybacked on what the Division I model is right now. We're kind of forward. If I didn't have junior days, I'd be losing ground.
The only thing I wanted to add, and Coach Metz said it, and it's very, very true, is the positional recruiting too. Defensemen are definitely kids that we've learned to take later. The development of athletes, we call them, we use the term goofletic. You know, there'll be, a kid who just grew 6 inches in a summer and he's still feeling his way into his body. We found that letting the kids that are going to be maybe a little bit taller grow into their body, gain some coordination. It's a world of difference sometimes when you watch a kid from year to year after he's grown into his body, he's learned how to play, how much better he is. So with the defensive side, certainly if you're a defenseman, I know at least on our end, we're definitely holding back there. Offensively, it's a lot easier. I mean, kids have skills, kids don't have skills. Kids can catch and throw with their left and right hand, they can shoot the ball really hard, they have athletic IQ, they know how to play a two-man game, they ride, they can run by someone. Those are really easy things to evaluate. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that on the field. But the intricacies of evaluating a defenseman is very, very hard. Evaluating defensemen, evaluating goalies, and evaluating faceoff guys is very difficult for us. And the more time that we have to see them, the better decision we're going to probably make.
I feel like the next two questions we've kind of